I know the feeling standing in the middle of a living room with a damp carpet, wondering if the machine you just spent a good chunk of money on will actually get the job done without turning the whole house into a swamp. That hesitation is what most of us feel before we click Add to Cart on any carpet extractor, especially when the specs read like a mini industrial engine and the price tag isn't exactly budget-friendly. In this review, I'm going to walk through exactly how the Mytee BZ105LX Breeze carpet extractor behaves in a real-world setting, what you actually get for the money, and whether it fits the kind of cleaning you have in mind. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest concern people have is whether a machine this big will actually make their cleaning easier, not harder. The Breeze isn't a compact handheld unit you can toss into a closet. It's a floor-standing extractor that looks more like a small industrial vacuum. That size translates into two practical things: a 10-gallon solution tank and a 10-gallon recovery tank, and a fairly hefty chassis that needs a bit of planning for storage. If you're the type who lives in a tiny apartment or you have limited garage space, that's the first red flag. On the other hand, if you have a 3-bedroom house, a pet-friendly carpet, or you're running a small cleaning side business, those tanks become a real advantage because you'll spend less time stopping to empty and refill. What really sets the Breeze apart is the dual Mytee exclusive Ametek hybrid motors. In layman's terms, that means you have two high-performance vacuum motors working together to maintain suction even as the water load builds up. In my testing, that translates into a consistent pull that doesn't sag after the first few minutes of scrubbing. Most entry-level extractors start to lose suction once the recovery tank fills halfway, which forces you to stop, dump the water, and restart. With the Breeze, I could run a continuous 30-minute deep clean on a thick Berber carpet in a master bedroom and still see solid lift at the end. Speaking of lift, the machine boasts a 180-inch water lift. That figure matters when you're trying to get the cleaning solution deep into the carpet fibers and then pull it back out quickly. In practical terms, I found that the Breeze could pull out a full saturation of a heavily soiled area, think a toddler's spilled juice plus a pet's accident, without leaving a lingering damp spot. The high water lift also helps when you're dealing with dense looped carpets that tend to trap liquid. The suction force was enough to pull the solution back through the pile, reducing the drying time. Airflow is another piece of the puzzle. The spec sheet lists 225 to 250 CFM, and in everyday use that shows up as quicker drying floors. After a full room clean, the carpet felt only slightly damp to the touch after about 10 minutes, versus the half hour or more I've seen with lower CFM models. That's not just a comfort thing, it means you can walk back onto the carpet sooner, and you're less likely to develop mold or mildew in the fibers, which is a legitimate worry for anyone who's ever left a wet rug for too long. Now, no machine is perfect, and the Breeze does have trade-offs. The most obvious is weight. At roughly 150 pounds with the tanks full, you'll need a dolly or at least a clear path to maneuver it from the garage to the living room. The wheels are sturdy, but they're not the kind of swivel wheels you'd find on a handheld unit, so tight corners require a bit of patience. If you have a lot of stairs, this isn't the model to haul up and down every weekend. Also, the noise level is noticeable, a low rumble that's louder than a typical household vacuum but quieter than a heavy-duty floor scrubber. In a home with young children or a home office, you might need to schedule the cleaning for when the house is empty or at least warn everyone ahead of time. Maintenance is something that often gets glossed over in marketing copy, but with dual motors you have an extra piece to watch. The motor housings are sealed, which helps keep dust out, yet the filters still need to be checked after a few heavy cleaning sessions. If you're a casual user who cleans once a month, you'll likely be fine with a simple filter rinse. If you're a professional or you clean multiple rooms a week, you'll end up swapping filters more often, and that adds a small recurring cost. The pump, rated at 500 PSI, does a solid job delivering consistent pressure, but I did notice that the hose can develop a slight kink if you bend it sharply, which reduces flow temporarily. It's not a deal breaker, just something to be aware of when you're working in tight spaces. So, who should consider the Mytee Breeze? If you're a homeowner with large carpeted areas, especially if you have pets, kids, or